The Mount Moon Review podcast, while a podcast about Pokemon, is not intended for children. You can expect some instances of adult humor, coarse language, and adult situations. Parental discretion is advised.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 27 of the Mount Moon Review podcast, where you can receive an expansion pass to your Pokemon knowledge just by tuning in. I am your host, the Razgrees, with my co-host, the Blue Duck Gold Duck, bringing you everything you need to know about the world of Pokemon from the last week in about an hour. I have so much stuff. I have 3 pages of an outline that you wrote today, Duck. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a good week.
Well, no, so like last week, we are literally trying to what are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about? This. Oh my lord, we don't have a podcast. What are we going to talk about? And so, okay, so I guess it'll just be a short one. It ended up going okay, and then I started saying you stuff throughout the week, and then you started sending stuff, and then I got to look at your outline this afternoon. And it was like, it's 3 pages long, Duck. This is about an hour podcast, buddy. We're gonna. But yeah, with the Pokemon Direct this week, we had a lot of information come out, and not only the Pokemon Direct, we got a lot of TCG information this week too.
Yeah, that's the killer. The Direct had so much info. In my opinion, the best Direct I've ever seen.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of fluff in it. It was pretty much here's what everything we need to tell you. We got a limited amount of time, so let's roll, and that's what it was.
Yeah, it was insane. And then on top of everything, there's so much news that wasn't even in the Direct that came out in the background.
Yeah, there really was. So I don't think we had a whole lot of time to talk about, Duck, what happened to you this week, and Raz, what happened to you this week. Let me just get this real quick. The weather sucked. We had a tornado warning. My living room flooded. I had two inches of water in my living room. Let's see. There's everybody and their mother is sick, and my house hasn't sold yet. Duck, go.
I've had a good week.
Well, you
it was
suck. All right, so let's roll right in here. What do you want to start out with this week?
All right, let's start with video game stuff.
All right, into the VGC, folks. Let's go.
Okay, so do you want the good news or the bad news?
Give me the bad news. What do we got?
The bad news is we probably aren't getting a Pokemon game in November this year.
But I think we kind of are, aren't we?
Well, that brings me to the good news because we are getting 2 expansion passes.
They're not expansion passes. They're new games. Folks, we are announcing that you're getting Pokemon Armor and Pokemon Crown.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. I mean, really, when you look at it, when you look at everything these new expansions are going to have, there might as well be new games.
I doubt it'll be like a 20-hour story, but
no.
I mean, it's enough to... It'll be more than they added between Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon.
What was the real difference between Sun and Ultra Sun?
About an hour of content at the end.
Yeah, so it was just pointless, really.
Couple new Pokemon, and that was it.
So, before we get really into this, if you go on like your Reddits, your Twitters, your 4chan, stuff like that, there is so much vitriol about these expansions.
People are mad?
People are furious. Because why are they giving us downloadable content? Just make me a new game. Guys, this is a ton of content. This is half the price of a new game. And they didn't hack off. Oh, they had a full game. They cut off a piece to make downloadable content. Way to go, EA. Guess what? No, they didn't. You're a moron.
Well, that's a general mindset a lot of people have for DLC to begin with.
I generally do feel that way about DLC for the most part. I do, because and a lot of times, especially if I purchase a piece of DLC, if I purchase it and it says click to download, and that download just goes boop, done. I know it's on the damn disc. Okay, don't try to freaking lie to me that you just download it. No, I unlocked the little 5 digits of code to tell the Xbox it's okay to read it off the disc. So don't lie to me and say, oh, it's new content. But in this particular instance, this is all new content. This is something that the game came out and they continued to create. This is just like an expansion for any other PC game. This is not something they just hacked off.
Right. I'm happy with this. This is the direction I think Pokemon needs to go. Instead of selling me another game, making me restart and play through the whole way through just to experience the new content.
Wait a minute. You mean you don't like every time you load a new Pokemon game? Hi, I'm a professor. I'm a professor of Pokemon. This is a Pokemon. We work alongside these mysterious creatures. Every freaking game.
I'm fine with that. As long as it's a new game. But Pokemon Emerald, Pokemon Platinum, Pokemon Crystal, they're not new games.
No, they're not.
It's the same game with a couple more things.
See, what's hilarious to me is the same people that are crying and complaining. We need it. You're making downloadable content. You should be making new games. These are the same people who are like, Johto remake.
Right.
Come on. The internet was originally created for military application and communication. It quickly became the depository for all cat pictures. Now it is going on there where somebody just needs to learn how to do something other than complain. Go on.
All right. So before we jump into all the news about the Sword and Shield expansions, I want to touch on a couple things that they revealed and, a couple new pieces of news that are floating around. The first one is one that I'm pretty excited for is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red and Blue Rescue Team are getting remade in March to Pokemon Mystery Dungeon DX. And that's for the Switch.
I know you're very excited about these because you still play the original ones. I've heard you talk about them.
Yeah, I actually just did a playthrough of Red Rescue Team within the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I know that you still enjoy those games, and you were like really excited. You were like messaging me, I get to play as a blue duck.
Yeah, Psyduck is a playable character.
So tell us all about it here, Ducky.
So yeah, there's a download or a demo available on the eShop right now. So you can do that, and then you can play through the first about hour and a half of the game, and then when the game comes out, you can just continue that.
So essentially, with you're just gonna be able to pick up right where you left off, but you can't keep grinding the whole time, unfortunately.
Yeah, so it lets you play up until you fight the first major boss, and then like before you go into that level. And normally, before you go into that level, you could choose to go and do other levels before you fight that boss. The game won't even let you leave the starting town.
Yeah, you can't give it all away for free.
No, but they can let me replay the levels I already played through, so I can get experience and be level 100 before the game comes out in March. By the way, they revealed a game and it's coming out 2 months later. It's less than 2 months.
It's like the perfect blue duck just walks in, boom, boom.
I like that companies are starting to lean towards doing this instead of being like, "Hey, here's a game. Here's a title screen for a game you'll see in 3 years."
Yeah, I mean, in all seriousness, like my oldest son right now, he is super excited for the next Halo game. We've known about the Halo game now for what, a year and a half, and it's still a year out. I mean, it's like ridiculous. I lose my hype. You know, I have a short attention span.
That's the problem. I think there was a time where that was appreciated more, but now that like games can, now it's like reversing, and companies are receiving positive feedbacks by not teasing stuff and just telling us, hey, it's coming out, go buy it.
I remember a couple of times at E3 they would come out with a piece of hardware or a piece of software, and they'd say, hey, look at this, and they'd watch the video, then they'd talk all about it, and then they'd look at their watch and go, it's available right now.
Yeah, that's amazing. We need more of that. I would appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, I really would. Occasionally, that kind of stuff's really cool. And we haven't talked about it lately, but if anybody doesn't believe the fact that GameStop is going to cease to exist within the next year, I think, are fools. Because everything, unless something like the clouds were to part and God himself reached down through the clouds and bestowed upon GameStop the Holy Grail that also contained the Holy Hand Grenade, there is no way that GameStop's going to exist, at least not in its current form. Just a PSA, folks, don't bother buying their little card. It doesn't do anything anymore. Also, in fact, if that store closes, wherever you did your pre-order, they get to keep your money, folks. They don't have to give it back to you. Terms and conditions suck. So don't pre-order anything. And the fact that I'm not going to pre-order anything anymore ever again. I will never pre-order anything ever again. So there's no point in hyping it up for 6 months because it's not going to do anything. I'm going to wait and I'm going to go buy it at my big box store, which incidentally right now, if you notice, Switch games at Walmart are $10 less than they are at GameStop new.
So are regular games. I think they're taking a cut to get more business there.
Well, I mean, whatever. I mean, I'll buy them.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying.
So yeah. So
you beat GameStop's used price for a new game.
Yeah, really. So the whole point is there's just no real. It used to be a value to the big build-up. It doesn't exist anymore. So there's no point in doing it. Having those instant reveals or having a small lead-up, I think, is very beneficial right now. And I don't have to get hyped, then forget about the game. Then you have to give me more information. So I get hyped again, and then I forget about it. And then we got to give you more information. By the time the damn game comes out, you already know the whole thing.
Did you know they're working on Half-Life 3? Are you hyped?
Is it confirmed?
No, I don't. I'm just pulling that out of my butt. No, I don't want to. I don't want this that to be something people hang on. Don't at me.
Yeah, don't at me, bro. So
yeah.
So it's cool. It's coming out in less than 2 months. I might pick it up. I don't know. That's usually not my type of game, but I might give it a try.
I will be picking it up, so I'll review it for you guys.
All right. We got a whole ton of news, so let's keep going. Let's plow
The next news in video game is that Gigantamax, Flapple, Applin, Lapras, and Colossal are all receiving boosted odds in max raid battles.
So here's a question in regards to that. Do you need to go in and do something with the wild area news in order for those upgrades to happen?
I've heard people say that, so I did that for the Snorlax, and then there was a Snorlax raid out in my wild area, like after I did that. But I have also, I didn't do it for Delibird, and Delibird was all over the place.
I asked because I've seen people asking that, and I've seen people saying it one way or the other. I can definitively say that my youngest son came to me just the other day and said, "Hey, I got a Lapras raid." I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's do that." And he doesn't look at the wild area news, folks. and I actually messaged you about it after we caught it. All three of us, me and my two boys, we caught it. The Gigantamax Lapras, perfect IVs. Perfect.
Yeah, a Nat 6.
I was like, "Yeah, Nat 6," and we coined that phrase while we're at it. So I was pretty hyped about that for about an hour.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
So we got the big boost on the Gigantamax raids right now.
Was it red? Do you know? Was it red or purple?
I honestly don't know. It was my son's raid.
When they're boosted, they appear in red raids. So, I mean, there is a chance he just found a purple Lapras raid, but that's pretty slim.
Probably.
Yeah, he was definitely playing Shield.
Yeah. So we have the new expansion pass. That's the big thing coming out of the VGC right now. So there was announced with the Pokemon Direct and an update that came out moments after the Direct that we would have, and you can see it right in on your menu screen now. We do have new expansion packs coming out. One this July or June, and then one this fall.
Yeah, it's one's in November when we would normally get a game, or one's in like springtime and one's in fall.
One's June, I believe.
Yeah.
So go on and just run down your list here, buddy.
Okay, so the price of the expansion is $30, and for that you get both expansions, even though they're coming in at different times. You get both of them. And the first one is the one we're getting in June. And the first one is the Isle of Armor, which is essentially Pokemon Armor version.
Pokemon Armor version, baby.
It's going to feature a new seamless area, just like the wild area. More Pokemon from the older regions, and some of the ones that they revealed were Kingdra, Volcarona, Magnezone, Chansey, Asmodee, Dedenne, Zorua, and Lycanroc, and I believe Talonflame as well. And it's very, very blurry, but I tried to zoom in on one of the pictures that we actually don't have ready for the podcast. I'm pretty sure I see a blurry Chikorita, Cyndaquil, and Totodile.
So we're getting more starters, essentially. And that's not a bad thing, considering all the starters were cut, with the exception of Charmander from Sword and Shield.
Yeah. So there are some Pokemon that were in the coding that are there's like the Gen 7 starters are in the coding, but they're not catchable. And as well as Bulbasaur and Squirtle. But Bulbasaur and Squirtle are also being added, and we'll talk about them in a little bit.
Yeah. Now, people, they're not removed so that you can buy them later. They're the same thing they're doing with Pokemon Go is they want to extend the life of the game. So you're going to see things that are going to be released incrementally over time, and you're going to see, like, hey, this month we have this. Here's your Squirtle. And those things are going to happen. It's going to extend the life of the game, and quite frankly, it's going to make you pick it back up a month later, and you're going to go back, hey, I remember this. This is great. I enjoy this.
I think they're also working on these sprites.
That might be a possibility as well. They're still.
I saw in the Direct they had the video of the guy working with the 3D model of Talonflame, and it's crisp. And we've never seen Talonflame look like the Talonflame it was standing straight up, and it had its wings folded, like it wasn't flying.
Mm-hmm.
We've never seen a Talonflame doing that.
Not typically, no.
So there's no way that that's an old model.
No. And the other thing with the update as it came out, if you haven't done so yet, you need to get your butt back to the first train station. Because when you go in, guess what? There's your new rival that you'll encounter in the Isle of Armor. And just by happenstance, there is a Galarian Slowpoke walking off of the train, and you can catch and add to your collection. Essentially, it's Slowpoke with a yellow head.
Yep, and that the rival you meet is somebody who is going to attempt to be a gym leader in the future. I don't remember their names, but if it's Sword, it's a poison type, and if it's Shield, it's a psychic type. And then there's like a professor in the Isle of Armor, like kind of a professor mentor type deal. He was Leon's mentor, and his name is Mustard.
And he was a
He may or
former
may not have
Galar
murdered
champion.
somebody.
Well,
What?
he was the former champion as well.
Yeah, they said he was a former
But
champion.
just the fact that his name's Mustard, I was like, yeah,
Right?
Why not?
And then in this story, you receive a brand new legendary Pokemon named Kubfu.
Yeah, so Kubfu is going to be a bit different, depending on which version of the game you have.
No.
What?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Depending on choices you make in the story, not version exclusives. That's on the website in bold letters.
You want to fight?
Do you want me to? Yeah, we can fight.
Cool. Dude, I haven't had a fist fight in years. That'd be awesome.
Kubfu is a fighting type.
Okay, so I misinterpreted it, but if you got text in front of you, let's go off of that. What does it say in regards to the different types? Lead us down the road.
So there's the two types are Single Strike and Rapid. First of all, the Pokemon's name is Urshifu.
Which it's a little racist, but go on.
The ability is Unseen Fist, which we don't know what it does yet. And it has the Single
It's a
Strike
fist that you can't see.
Right. It has the Single strike form, which is fighting and dark type, or the rapid strike form, which is fighting and water type. And for those of you watching, it's basically just it's kind of like a lot like Pancham and Pangoro.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean it's the World of Warcraft Isle of Pandora. I mean that's what we're getting here.
Yeah. Pandaria?
Whatever. I never played it.
No, me neither. But
but
I think
yeah,
that expansion was called Mist of Pandaria.
But you get. This is a gift to you from Mustard. He entrusts it to you to go forth and raise it and train it on your Pokemon journey. So the question of the day is, do you get a chance to get more than one?
I don't know. I assuming that like the intention here is
pick one,
on your
sucker.
Sword version get one, and then on your Shield version get the other.
Yeah, pick one, sucker.
But you can get both in each version.
Okie dokie. So we're gonna keep adding a new Pokemon. I don't have a problem with that. That's great. You know, prolong the life of the game.
And then each of these forms has a Gigantamax form, and the way the Gigantamax form looks is it's much bigger, but it gets like armor on it that's different colors. Or each form has different color armor, and that's why I think it fits really well as the armor Pokemon.
Okay.
Zacian is the sword Pokemon, and Zamazenta is the shield Pokemon.
Yep. And so we have like these images that were in the trailer of these huge Gigantamaxed Pokemon, but they kind of look like statues in a way, but they're not. They're just kind of frozen in time.
Yeah, they did a pretty good job at showing us them and not giving us that close detail with them. They kind of just flashed around on different parts of them.
Yeah, so I mean, they're giving us enough, I think.
Yeah. And then another thing they revealed is the starter Pokemon are going to get their Gigantamax forms.
Yes, they are indeed. So it was kind of curious that the starter Pokemon, when they came out, they do have their Dynamax forms just like every other Pokemon. They didn't have the Gigantamax. Well, that is coming out with the Isle of Armor. That we're going to finally get Gigantamax versions of our starters. So they're kind of what you'd expect. With I
don't know if it's quite what I'd expect.
Really?
I mean, maybe Rillaboom and Centiskorch are fine, but Inteleon's kind of weird.
You think so? I mean,
so Rillaboom just kind of gets like giant branches and leaves sticking out of its back, and
he's also got a full drum set now as opposed to that single drum.
Well, it's one drum, but it's just big and it has multiple things to hit.
It's a drum set, yeah.
Yeah. And then Centiskorch is standing on top of a giant flaming soccer ball.
It's not a Centiskorch.
Oh my gosh. Cinderace is standing on top of a giant flaming soccer ball. And Inteleon's tail.
Well, wait a minute. His ears are also about a mile long too.
Well, that's the flap on his. On Cinderace. Yeah, Cinderace gets really long ears. But Inteleon is the most peculiar one.
He doesn't change at all except his tail.
His tail gets super long, probably about 90 feet tall, and he's sitting on his tail, and he's got a giant like barrel sticking out of his finger, and he's using it as a sniper rifle.
He's up in a sniper's position. It's great.
He's literally in kneeling position if you know anything about shooting.
I love it.
He's got his one elbow resting on his kneecap, and he's aiming down the sights. I can't believe that they can put this in a children's game.
It's not a children's game. I love it. I really do.
It's insane.
I'm kind of wishing I had went with Inteleon right now.
Oh, and a key note here is that they in their description they said that Pokemon you already have are going to gain the ability to Gigantamax.
Yeah, so you probably won't have to go out and catch a second one. Now, we have instances such as the Eevee and the Pikachu that you get for having a Let's Go game save, that those Pokemon can Gigantamax, but other Eevees and Pikachus can't Gigantamax. So it doesn't sound like that's going to be the case with our starters. It sounds like our starters might gain this ability that we already have, the ones that we already have.
Right. I don't know if that's going to be the specific starter or all of the species will gain the ability. I'm confused about that. Also, are these going to be catchable? Because if they're catchable, that means we could get their hidden abilities.
That would be lovely.
And Cinderace has an amazing hidden ability. It's going to change everything.
Tell us about it.
It's called Libero, and whatever type it uses, before it uses the attack, it changes into that type. So if you use like Bounce, it turns into a flying type. So you get the same type attack bonus on all your moves.
Nice.
Just like Greninja, which Greninja got banned from the fan tiers because of that ability being overpowered.
OPAF.
Yeah, it might not see much play in doubles, but in single battles, it's pretty crazy.
Okay. Let's keep rolling down the hype train.
So those aren't the only starters receiving Gigantamax forms. We actually have Gigantamax, Venusaur, and Blastoise. That they didn't give us any details on them. They just kind of showed their images.
Yeah, it's kind of like as they're going through like this montage of all this different stuff. All of a sudden, they're like, "Oh, here's a Venusaur and a Blastoise. Enjoy."
Yeah, and Blastoise has about 50 cannons on his back, and Venusaur is wearing a giant sombrero. The flower turns into a big sombrero.
He really is. With his the leaves going down, he's got like the Rasta thing going on too. he looks like a homeless guy wearing a sombrero. That's what it kind of looks like.
It looks like somebody turned a Ludicolo upside down.
Yeah, there you go.
With the flower. The flower looks like a Ludicolo. Just go look it up if you're listening to this.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch our video version of the podcast, we do put these images on screen. But if you're just listening to this, you have to look this up because it looks, and with his teeth showing and all the gaps, it looks like a homeless dude wearing a sombrero.
That's great.
Anyway, so yeah, we're getting more starters that we didn't even have. So I'm guessing we're gonna be able to get Squirtle and
yeah. There's no way to if we're catching Gigantamax versions of them, then we can breed them down, at the very least.
Here's hoping.
And then we talked about the new form or the meeting your rival in the station and getting a Galarian Slowpoke.
Slow.
And they had images for Slow King and Slow Bro, but they scribbled over them.
Yeah,
like it was really weird. Like they're like, haha, we're hiding this.
Yeah, you can't see these. They basically
somehow
scratched out the heads.
And I think you get Slow Bro in the Isle of Armor, and then you get Slow King in the Crown Tundra.
Yes, that is the case.
And then I put this as a note in here for people. Maybe people are wondering, even if you do not buy the expansion, they will still give you a free update to put the new Pokemon in your game. You won't be able to catch them in the wild, but you can be traded or battle against them.
Yeah, I mean, it would be virtually impossible to not do this because if you go into casual or ranked play, you're going to encounter these people. So you need the sprites on your system. So that update's it's a necessity. But them allowing you to now have those Pokemon traded to you, I mean, you can't complain. You're getting something for nothing.
Well, that's the thing. They added new Pokemon to Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and you could still battle somebody with Ultra Sun if you were playing Moon version. But there would be a whole thing that came up that said, "Oh, you can't battle this person because they're using a Pokemon that's not in your game."
Really?
Yep.
So, well, that's awfully nice.
This is another added bonus, and they could have potentially done that for this.
Potentially, but
so
I think
it
speaks with competitive play being what it is. I think they'd be hard pressed to do that anymore.
Right. I think it's generous of them. Like they could have made a new game and doubled their money, or they could have done this and just excluded people who were refusing to pay because they disagreed with it. But now they're kind of making the right choices, which is something that I feel like Pokemon Company hasn't done in the past.
I don't think they're making wrong choices. I think they're making choices based on a different market. And we've talked about this with the comparison of with animes and mangas and the way they're marketed in Asian countries as opposed to the Western market. And I think that's the same way when it comes to the decisions they're making as it pertains to these games. Is you're dealing with the people making these decisions are ones that have that Eastern mentality, but are still trying to make money in a Western market.
I mean, that is a fair point. They are able to market games in a completely different way than Eastern markets.
Yeah, but I don't have an issue with. I like the way they're going. I really do, and I don't have a problem with paying $30 for this much additional content.
I am completely okay with paying $30.
Now it's gonna kick me in the jimmy a little bit because I gotta do it 3 times.
Right, you got to do it once per Switch in your house, right?
Yeah. So that's gonna be a little bit of a kick in the jimmy, but yeah, it'll be what it is. The idea is we just had our second Mount Moon tournament over the weekend, and the first one was the Invitational, and that went rather well. And then we had the first. It's gonna be an ongoing series in Mount Moon events on our Discord over the weekend. And that was the first VGC event that my 2 sons have ever competed in. And they came in, I believe, 7th and 9th. If we had done Masters, Seniors, Juniors, my youngest would have taken the Juniors division. So, yay, I'm proud of him. We're going to take, and I've been saying this since we started the podcast, we're going to take some time and get used to the VGC before we dive in and start going to regionals and doing all that. But that's our plan. We're going to transition from TCG to VGC. And if you're at all interested in competing in those tournaments, if you join our Discord, we are going to be doing them on a regular basis. And at the end of the podcast, we are going to share a code for those that want to get involved in an online competition. Now, when we do them on our Discord, we run them just like we would at a live event using Tom. We do Swiss rounds, and that's worked out rather well so far. We're open to doing other things, but that's what we've done so far. We are going to use the Battle Arena this weekend to do a regular event, mostly because I plan on watching Dallas Regionals this weekend, and I don't want to be messing with Discord and doing all that nonsense. With Dallas Regionals, I do have some updated numbers for those that are interested. On the TCG side, well, we'll get to that when we start covering TCG. But on the VGC side, there's 456 Masters registered.
Now, is that updated from last week, or?
Yeah, that actually comes from our friend Will Post.
Okay.
Who is a Pokemon professor. Pretty much let's blow smoke with a little bit. A world-renowned Pokemon professor who does almost every regional championship in the country. But he posted these a little while today. But an update: 456 Masters, Duck. 456.
That's insane.
For VGC, they're not going to have enough power outlets, guaranteed. 19 seniors, 10 juniors. I'm still on the ropes about driving down to Dallas just to enter the boys in for the easy points. But we're not planning on going to London this year, so what's the point? But yeah, VGC's making a huge resurgence right now. Sword and Shield is bringing the VGC back. I'm thrilled by it because I don't have to buy cards anymore.
See if the hype continues.
Even if it dies down by half, that's still increased numbers, like a drastic increase in numbers.
It's gonna get a little crazy again once they add the new Pokemon too, like the ones from the older games, because they're starting to pick and choose. Like the Pokemon they're adding are Pokemon that are huge heavy hitters in the past.
Well, we got the old heavy hitters, and we got the remakes of the old heavy hitters that we've got coming out, and we've got. They didn't say their names, but quite frankly, they're, as far as I'm concerned, they're Galarian mythical birds.
Oh yeah, so those are going to be part of the Crown Tundra expansion, which is also going to contain a area like the wild area. More new Pokemon. Some of those confirmed were Nidorino, Beldum, Amoris, Cryogonal, Crobat, Celio, Elekid, and Garchomp.
Garchomp.
Yeah, Garchomp is going to be. I want to see Garchomp and Dragapult go at it.
Tina Chomp.
I like Garchomp better, but I'm curious who's going to come out on top and be on every team.
But we also have redesigns of Moltres, Zapdos, and Articuno, which
so
they're kind of
those
cool.
are, they only flashed these images by really quick. It was kind of hard to grab the screenshots of them, but somebody else did it for us, thankfully.
Yay!
And so they're Galarian legendary birds, and they will most likely be catchable through a new co-op feature that I guess you go and walk around in the area where you battle the max Pokemon right now. When you go into a den, that area that's all red and cloudy, apparently you can enter co-op basically dungeons.
Yeah, essentially you're doing dungeon crawling as a team now.
Yeah, walking around in the raid. I mean, I don't want to try to overhype it because we don't know exactly what it is yet, but I think you're going to be able to free roam inside those dens and eventually find a legendary Pokemon and then do a raid battle that way.
Yeah, but being that the map size is smaller, that's probably why they're able to do that on that scale as opposed to running in the wild area together.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I imagine.
So I mean,
hopefully we see each other's movements in real time.
See, that's what I'm hoping for, because I really don't like the way they did the wild area. Yes, there's other people running around, but they're NPCs that have, appearances that other people made. That's about it.
Right.
So I'm not really thrilled with that. But if we're able to interact, great.
It's a step in the right direction, though. Like, they're making advancements, and that's what I'm excited for.
I mean, let's face reality. We all want the Pokemon MMO. That's what we want. We want the Pokemon MMO. I want the Pokemon MMO in VR. I want Sword Art on Pikachu.
That would be awesome. And then they also revealed 2 Reggie-looking Pokemon.
They do a little bit, a lot different than previous versions, and new eye configuration. So it's not like it's a Galarian.
Yeah. So because their eyes are different, I'm actually guessing that these are new Reggies. Like, maybe it's like Reggie Volt and Reggie Dragon or something.
Reggie Skull.
It looks like a electric type Reggie and a dragon type Reggie. And I don't like legendary Pokemon. Like, I never use them. I don't know what it is. It's very seldom that I see a legendary I like, and I really like this dragon type Reggie. I really like that design. I'm super excited for it.
I'm glad you're excited, because you get like all animated and you start wiggling your camera around.
Yeah, the desk is not stable.
But with Tundra as well, we also have one more Pokemon that came out, and I have no idea what its name is. So you're gonna have to feed that to me here.
Oh crap!
'Cause I'm calling it like stupid deer looking thing.
Yeah, it's Shoot, I had it too.
But
I had it on screen.
So it's a little bit of a debate whether it's a rabbit or it's a deer or a.
I think it's a rabbit.
Deer bit, and it's got like a Buddhist necklace on, and it's got like a green tomato on its head. I don't know.
But the necklace also has the Triforce.
Yeah, it's straight up the Triforce. It really is. Thank God it's a Nintendo product.
It's called Calyrex.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a dinosaur, but it
looks stupid.
It's not. I think it's this game's like Mew or Jirachi.
Yeah, I buy that. That's because it kind of has the same vibe.
Yeah, but it's very small. It's one of the, what do they call those, pixie legendaries or whatever? It's a mythical. I don't know if it's going to be considered a mythical Pokemon or not, but that's a debate for another day.
Yeah, we can go on and on about the difference between legendaries and mythicals. Then I might as well just grab my son, because he'll argue us into time of memoriam. But that's probably what this is going to be. We'll see if it's catchable or not. We don't know.
I imagine it is, because it's the Pokemon on the logo. Like, its head is on the logo of the Crown Tundra. It's the Crown Pokemon as that Kung Fu Pokemon is the armor Pokemon.
Well, we'll see what happens. It's new content. That's all I care about. And whether I
And then
catch
they're
that or
adding
not.
new clothing items, which I didn't really care that much about. And then I
don't.
saw that some of them are main characters' clothes. So like you could wear Chairman Rose's suit or
No.
Marnie's
You know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. As soon as that comes out, every single character is going to look like Barney running around. It really
Yep.
every dang one of them. It's
Yeah. I can see it.
It's going to be like, oh, okay, now we're all Team Yell. You know?
And then yeah, I mean Team Yell is one of the outfits you can get.
I'll tell you what. You do Marnie, and we'll get the Mount Moon crew from the Discord to all jump in as Team Yell, and we'll follow you around in one of the dens and make videos.
I doubt that the male character will be able to wear Marnie's outfit.
Yeah, but how many people do you know personally who
that play
as female
as a
characters?
female avatar?
Looking
Yeah,
at you.
I mean,
Looking at you, Ed. Looking at you. Really, there's a lot of them. A lot of people I'm playing with that I know are dudes are playing as female characters. So it's
a whole thing.
It's a
Some
thing.
people just have that preference.
It's a thing, and you can do whatever you want. I'm just saying. Now you're gonna see it a lot. You're gonna see freaking Marnies everywhere.
Yeah, I agree. Well, she's got the best design of all the new characters,
That's true.
so that makes sense.
I wish they made a solid set of glasses for this game. Oh my god.
I wish they would make a cool backpack for the male avatar.
I still have the original one because I thought all the ones you got in the store looked stupid.
Yeah, I don't like any of the backpacks. And the final note for the expansion passes is that when you purchase it, you receive a code to get Pikachu and Eevee uniforms. So like the uniforms you get when you they represent each gym. You can get a uniform that has Pikachu and Pikachu or Eevee on it.
They don't look that bad. Typically, these kind of things look stupid. These don't look that bad to me.
And the number of the player, that like it's on in the image where they revealed that uniform is number 227. I believe it's 227, but it was kind of blurry. It's hard to tell if it was a 7 or a 1. I believe it's a 227, which is a Thursday, same day of the week they revealed they had this Nintendo Direct or this Pokemon Direct.
Yeah, they typically do.
I'm wondering if February 27th is going to contain another Nintendo Direct.
I'm not gonna say it's impossible.
There were everyone, like not every time, but when they did the first trailer, the number of the player character when he walked into the stadium was the date of the next trailer.
Okay, well that's
so-
even more evidence. So yeah, look for that.
We'll see. I could be wrong.
Okay,
But-
I think that wraps up our VGC news. Correct?
That does.
Okay, so we could almost do a whole nother show on TCG.
Yeah, and the effect doesn't actually come into play until February 21st, so we have time if you would like to save this for next week.
I think we need to touch on something and maybe go into more detail about everything on next week's. But let's touch on a little bit of everything here. There's all these new rules coming out. And quite frankly, if you are out of the game when these new rules take effect and you try to come back like even a month later, you're going to be lost because they have overhauled the game entirely. For example, the player going first on turn 1 can no longer play a supporter card. That's a throwback, but that's something that people are quite used to doing. Resistance is being changed from -30 to -30 instead of -20. Poison.
You can read this the way I typed it.
I'm gonna no, because the one thing that is gonna have to go to the end. There's gonna be a whole lot of erratas coming out for cards. The biggest thing people are kind of like memeing about, because my phone is just inundated with memes right now, is no more fairy types. No more fairy types. Fairy types are not going to be treated as psychic types, but they're not exactly the clearest directions in the world. Does that mean you just every time you see a fairy symbol you pretend it's a psychic symbol, and all your weaknesses
For
and
now,
everything
yeah.
change?
No, so I think the Pokemon that are printed as fairy types right now will still require the fairy type energy, until they rotate those cards. And once they're rotated, they're just not going to print any more fairy types. So like in Sword and Shield, if they print a Clefable card,
but if it's a psychic, if it's a psychic type, couldn't you? Because it's not written down. I would, if someone was in a tournament I was judging and they wanted to use psychic energy, I don't know what I would do.
No, because the card says it requires fairy energy.
Right, but with fairy, we're supposed to treat fairies as psychics now.
No. That's not what they're saying. They're saying they are not going to print. From now on, when they print cards, fairy types will be printed as psychic types. I don't think we ignore anything that's printed on any current cards.
Keep talking. Go through your stuff. I want to read something real quick. You just keep going. It's your podcast now. Go.
All right. So the joke I made about that is that the fairy types were joining the psychic family, and that made the poison types angry, so they joined the dark side because poison types are now going to be integrated into dark types. And if you guys remember, I was boosting to have more types in the game. Like maybe you can still have them use the same type of energy, but like you have different symbols for the poison types and the ghost types, and they're not all considered psychic types. Or you have different symbols for bug types and grass types, because it doesn't make any sense when they do their weaknesses in dumb ways. Like, why is Rayquaza weak to electric? That drives me nuts, and it's always driven me nuts.
All right, so this is pure torture making the dyslexic guy read out loud. But
yeah,
let's try this. The fairy type, which was introduced in the X and Y series, will no longer be supported in the Sword and Shield series. Pokemon that are fairy types in the Pokemon video game series will now generally be represented as psychic type Pokemon in the Pokemon TCG. To maintain a balance among types, Pokemon that are poison type in the video game are now represented as darkness types instead of psychic types. For the time being, basic fairy energy can still be used in standard format, but that may change in the future. Yeah.
So I think when they rotate the fairy types, they're going to say you can't use basic fairy type energy anymore.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what rotation next year is going to look like. Are they going to... There's going to be a big axe, I think, because they're going to want to make the rules easier to understand very quickly.
Yeah, because you would think that the cards in the Cosmic Eclipse expansion would be legal for another 2 years, and they wouldn't get rotated till rotation in 2021. But there's fairy types.
I would not be shocked to see either a drastic rotation or a huge ban list come out at the end of this year.
Like they rotate just the fairy types, but all the other cards are illegal.
Yeah, or just ban them in standard.
That's what I meant. Like,
yeah,
ban fairy types, ban the fairy charms, because that wouldn't make any sense.
Well, the fairy charms were ill-conceived to begin with. The fairy charms led to so much rampant accusations of treating, but there's no way to bloody tell, because you can't tell which fairy charms which when they put them on their deck lists, and people could or could not be swapping them out. You'd never.
Oh, people were just writing fairy charm?
Yeah.
See, I knew people were switching them as they went, but I thought they just wrote, because it's fairy charm electric symbol.
But when you just have to put the text down, and it says fairy charm.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's what people were doing, supposedly.
Right. No, I didn't look that deep into it. I thought they just had they had fairy charm electric written down, and then when they knew they were playing against a like a psychic type deck, they'd switch out their electric types for a psychic type and hope they didn't get deck checked.
I think they were swapping them out and not worrying about the deck checks because you can't prove I didn't.
That's nuts.
It was ill-conceived. It really was. I never even used the fairy charms. I didn't like them anyway, but I think it was just an ill-conceived thing, and we're gonna see those go away. But if we end up with a huge like fairies ban, then they go away anyway because there's no use for them anymore.
I could see it going either way. I think, I mean, I wouldn't be that surprised if they do support fairy until they're naturally rotated out. But yeah, I mean, they left it. They definitely put it in words that leaves that option open to them if they.
It's like they don't even know yet. That's kind of what the way they worded it. We might. We don't know. We're gonna see how much complaining people do online.
So I want to hit on this quick, even though we don't normally talk to the chat. We have somebody in the chat asking if we're going to lose an evolution, and no, we won't be. But Sylveon in the cards will be a psychic type.
Yeah, no longer a fairy type. She'll be a psychic type, and Sylveon's always a girl, at least in my world.
No, you can have a male.
I said in my world, Duck.
I actually believe
I reject
more.
I reject your Pokemon
to be a male.
I reject your Pokemon reality and substitute my own.
You can't argue with the stats.
I can argue with anything. I can as long as it's a feeling. I can argue anything I want.
But yes, so this is just solely in regards to TCG. So the fairy type is still going to exist in the games. They're not getting rid of it from the game. They're just, I guess they don't want to print as many energy cards anymore. I have no idea why they're.
Well, see, that's the thing too. With Sword and Shield, there's new energy cards coming out, at least in the Japanese cards, and Fairy's one of them.
Oh yeah. Did they print?
I have it on my phone. I don't have it for the
fairy cards. Are there any fairy types in the Sword and Shield expansion?
I don't know. I haven't really messed with it too much, but we got some really neat new energy cards. I didn't have a chance to pull them up for the podcast.
Well, we showed the fire one, and then we had that whole debate on whether they were going to have like specific backgrounds by type.
Yeah, I kind of wish they would, but it's pretty generic, just color now.
Yeah. But so I was right, by the way. I just wanted to point that out because we argued a little bit.
With what?
About that. You thought they were going to be... You said you thought they were going to have bubbles, and I was like, nah, probably just the fire.
No, I said I'd want them to have bubbles. I think that'd be cool. Let's see.
Okay, I found the set list for Sword and Shield.
Well, go on. We have dead air here, my friend. Dead air. Dead air is your radio's worst nightmare. And this isn't terrestrial radio, but, you know.
So I believe this was done strategically, but I don't see... They have the only fairy type printed in the Sword and Shield expansion was Galarian Rapidash, which is also psychic type, and it's psychic type.
So there you go. Like I said, I think we're gonna see a big rotation or a big ban list at the end of the year. I would not be shocked. There's a possibility they could just make you say live with it, and we would.
Yeah.
But I don't like erratas. I don't like erratas because people have because not everyone even knows the bloody thing exists, for starters.
Yeah.
And trying to explain it to people when they have the physical card in front of them that says this is what it says, this is the rule. And you're like, well, no, because somebody decided somewhere at some point that if you dig hard enough online, you'll find this rule that somebody wrote, but they don't know who. It's difficult.
Sometimes you run into somebody playing an errata card and they play it wrong because they just didn't know.
And how could they? It's not as if we like mail something out. It's just the onus is on you to figure it out. And like I said, when you mention the word errata, most people are looking at you like, what about a rattata? And you're trying to explain to them, no, this is an updated version of the rules because the card was out of balance for whatever reason. And they're like, but when does the errata evolve?
Yeah, there is a sketch to be made there.
We could do it.
Oh, did you hear about the errata? Now Sylveon's a fairy type. No, this is a Sylveon, not a Rattata.
Yeah. Oh, geez. So, I think next week we're going to focus heavily on the all the new TCG rules. But gosh, there is so many erratas that came out already, and different verbiage going in. We're changing. It's coming more in line with other TCGs with the way you go from when the turn takes place. I'm trying to trying to word this without. It's very. I'm confused. It's going to take me a while to figure everything out. But yeah, like Duck's got like 2 pages of stuff just right here in front of me, and it's ridiculous the amount that they've already announced. But the important thing is that these don't take place until February.
Yep. So even if we talk about them next week, you're not really missing out on much.
No, I think a lot of leagues are going to be benefited by practicing with the new rules before they take place. So if any league leaders are listening to this, that's something I highly encourage you to do. Is play, make the announcement that we're going to play under the new rules, just to give people the opportunity to try to get used to them before they walk into a league challenge somewhere and it just blindsides them. With what we were doing with the Mount Moon Invitational on the VGC side, was we were actually playing under the 2020 rules before the rule set even came out, and then luckily it was like the day of the tournament. The rule set got released, so it was great. We were actually able to use the real rule set. But if on the TCG stuff, I highly recommend league leaders, if you're listening to this, go ahead and distribute the rules to your league. Guess what? Put a little effort into it. Print the bloody things out. Distribute them. Your players will thank you for it. And play under the new rules so that they can get used to that, so they're not blindsided later on. That's my recommendation from somebody who is just anal retentive when it comes to that kind of stuff. But you're not going to see any updates on PTCGO until it happens, until the day it happens. Yeah. So that's not an option.
They really should update it sooner.
Yeah, I think PTCGO should have a which rule set do you want to play under, the upcoming one or the current one?
Yeah, that would be good. That would be cool. Like in standard, expanded, and upcoming rules would be amazing. Upcoming rotation, upcoming
post rotation or something like that. Yeah.
Because I hate it when you can't play test for a regionals coming up because they already added new cards from the next set, but those cards aren't legal at the next.
You're not even playing in the TCG anymore, so no one cares.
Yeah, but I used to hate that.
Yeah, but you have an excellent point. You want to try this stuff out, and you don't have to using like outlaw programs like Untapped and stuff like that, which are very unwieldy to begin with. But
or you can just throw off your wins and losses by just conceding as soon as you see a card that's not legal.
Yeah, really. So we're going to go in depth in the new TCG rules next week. So make sure if you're into the TCG, make sure you pop in here for that. Other than, let's see, we also have
one more bullet point to hit on.
I see that. Go on.
So last week or 2 weeks ago or whenever it was, we talked about them saying there was a new movie that wasn't a new Pokemon movie, that it wasn't going to be a remake. We got a trailer and a title to the movie,
which we will not be showing here on the podcast.
No, we won't. It will be called Pokemon Movie Coco, and what the site where they talked about the trailer had a broken link, so I actually haven't seen it yet. I was kind of busy getting all these notes together.
See, right now I could go on a 20-minute tirade about the doctrine of fair use and the fact that I could be showing the trailer right now because we'd be reviewing the trailer. I would not have audio on there, but I would still get a strike from Nintendo that I had to fight and yada, 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 yada. But no, so we're not going to show it. Just get on YouTube, find it yourself. It's not that hard.
Yep. I believe this movie is going to go in the same series as the Pokemon movie I Choose You, which featured Ho-Oh and Marshadow, and then the Pokemon movie, it was either The Power of Us or Everyone's Story, which featured Zeraora. So this was probably going to be the third movie in that series featuring Tapu Koko, at least.
Hooray.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's going to wrap us up for news this week, except for one last thing. If you're at all interested in playing in VGC, we said at the top of the podcast, we do have the Discord where we have events where we play under the same rules as you would at a live event. We use the Tournament Operations Manager provided by Pokemon, and we're going to start doing more and more of those events. We are eventually going to be doing prize support for those events, and I would like to also incorporate that into our Extra Life campaign at some point. But if you just want to play casually this weekend during Dallas Regionals, because if you're not going to Dallas, you might as well do something. We do have a sanctioned event on the battle arena for anybody who's interested. All you need is the code to get in, and the competition ID is 12 X-ray Victor 3 Bravo Golf Whiskey Kilo, and it's on screen right now for those watching the video podcast, and it'll be posted on our Discord as well, and that's going to take place this Saturday. It depends, varies on where your location is, but it's going to be 0700 UTC, which where I am in Central Time is 1 p.m. Duck, that should be, I believe, noon for you. But it's going to be just, it's not going to be Swiss rounds. It's going to be just like you would for any online competition through Pokemon. The title on there is going to be the Mount Moon Weekly Series, Week 1, a Mount Moon Review podcast event. So if you're at all interested in competing in that, just hop in there. I'm losing my voice all of a sudden. It's horrible. You can find me on social media at _Raspberry01. That'll be for Facebook and Twitter. You can find Duck on Twitter at Blue Duck Gold Duck, all one word without the E, folks. Do you even use your Twitter, Duck?
Sometimes.
I think you need to make a concerted effort to do that more. We want to see more about the life of Duck.
I don't like to tell people about my life.
I want to see you walk up to a lemonade stand.
Oh.
That's going to be an ongoing gag, folks. Get used to it. Got any glue? So you can also look at us on Facebook at Mount Moon Podcast on Facebook. If any of those social media platforms, you can get our Discord link. Just shoot us a quick message, and we'll get you in there as well. And we look forward to bringing you all the news in the world of Pokemon every single week on Twitter, on Twitch rather, on my Twitch, which is again _Razgrees01, every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 7:30 Central for me. And Duck, do you have anything you want to add this week?
Nope, that's about it.
Then get us out of here so I can go cough myself silly.
So just remember, everybody, if it's too good to be blue, it's probably gold.
Have a week, folks.
Just because your card is magic, you think you're safe because you killed my life orb. Baby, do you dare to not flinch? Cause I'm coming at you like a dark horse. I know you're gonna throw. You're gonna throw a storm. But I got that lucky chance. There's no critical hits.